And I might be training firearms. And yes, I'm up.
Why do women do this?
I'm just saying that I can. I'm telling you, I can defend you.
Why do women act like they're men? Like, you're not a man. Because you know men are physically stronger than women. You know that generally.
I probably can lift more than you anyway.
Oh my God, yo, put me in one of these panels, son. Yo, hit me up. Y'all got my goddamn email. Put me in one of these damn panels. I'm running amok. You understand me?
Do you make when I'm talking about twerking, because I twerk,
you do twerk?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Does that mean that I'm not wife material?
To some men,
if you were my wife, and you went to a club and you were twerking,
so are we saying strippers are not
get
wife
out
material?
of here, man.
Welcome to Bridge the Gap.
All right, so I ain't gonna hold you. I saw the teaser, and when I saw this young lady say, so does that make strippers are not wife material? I was like, this is gonna be a good video.
Why did you guys choose to get married when the contract is like against you?
The contract is against you.
Yeah, so like women can leave and take half and put you on child support. So if I was a guy, like I would have a really hard time getting married.
But a man could do the same.
What?
A man could do the same.
Not statistically. Okay, so my name is Pearl and I do YouTube. And she can take your kids. Like men only get sole custody 7% of the time. And women leave 80% of the time and they leave 90% if they're college educated. So if I was a dude and I was looking at these numbers in front of me, like I would have a really hard time with it.
But I think if it's the type of woman that you are. So for example, the reason why I sat down is because
it's so interesting. Even though Pearl just hit her with the numbers, she says it depends on the type of woman that you are. You know what's one of the biggest reasons why content in this space is taken off the way that it is? Because up on all of these talk shows, dating shows, whatever like that, they've never ever talked about the numbers. So though it's such a surprise when they hear the numbers of what is happening at an aggregate level, right? But even still, you still hear those with contradictory points say, well, it doesn't matter because of this. Or they talk about outliers, or it just depends on the type of person, da-da-da-da-da. Which, logically, yes. Whatever happens within the, marriage or situation like that does depend on a particular type of person. However, looking at the numbers in aggregate, we can draw some conclusions.
I was married. Hi, I'm Camilla. I am an event host and presenter. I did that contract. I said, right, this is the right thing for me to do at that time. I had a 2-year engagement. In that time, I was thinking, I think it was too long.
Okay.
Yeah, so by the time I got down the aisle, I was hella confused and I didn't know whether that was exactly the right thing for me to do. Okay. However, I was the higher earner. So I didn't look at that contract like it would affect me, to be honest.
But you're the girl. And so like the courts favor women in general. And so like from a girl's point of view, I want to get married. Of course I want to get married. But like if I was a guy, I would have a really hard time with it. And you could say it's the type of woman, but 50% of marriages end in divorce. Women leave the majority of the time. I don't think it's the type of woman. I think it's that they're paying women to leave.
That was such an interesting point. So what did we learn so far? We learned that this guy right here is about to get married. He's been engaged. I think he said like in 2022 he got engaged or something like that. We just learned that she is divorced. It sounds like she was engaged for 2 years and then ended up getting married, but then knew walking down that aisle that this is probably not the person that she wants to spend the rest of her life with, but still went through with it anyway, right? So throwing up the idea that women are incentivized to break it up. But then she also said that 50% of those are going to end in divorce. Well, Pearl said that. But then she also said, but how many of the 50 that are together are happy? And I thought that was a good rebuttal from someone who got a divorce, because I didn't think that she was going to go there with that, right? So we have a very blue pill guy right here, right? So it'll be interesting to see how the conversation matriculates with his thoughts and ideologies, especially because when you're about to get married, it's deep within your belief system of why you're about to get married, right? And if you don't know these particular types of things, then you can, have some concerns with it, right? So yeah, I just thought that part was interesting.
For me, obviously, you're painting a picture of a big risk, and then even from that paradigm, I think, in life, let's just be honest, there's no growth outside of the realm of taking risks. So, for me,
strong point.
Like, I see my marriage to my wife as something, I call it covenant rather than a contract.
Oh,
and I see it as a commitment to her based on my love for her. So my mindset is not going to be about, well, what if? It's going to be about, what if this could be something that could last a lifetime? What if this could produce children that would be X, Y, and Z? So I think it's just more about the value that I put on it, what I'm willing to put in it, what I believe she's willing to put in it as well, based on what she's shown me and responding to me, to my love. And that's the reason why. So,
But I think it's to do with...
Hey, and that's a very common argument. Listen, you can hope, you can believe, you can hafiz your way into it as much as what you can. And my thing is like, yes, the idea that there is no growth without risk, he's absolutely right. And the thing is, however, what are the things that you can do in order to reduce said risk, right? My pops told me that the issue with marriage, really, for men, is that the state is involved. You're not just getting married to her, but you're signing a contract in front of the government. In front of the government. With no protection? With no prenup? I don't know if I could believe in hope strategy my way through something that ends 50% of the times. And what was also interesting as well is the young brother in the Paradise shirt. When Pearl said 50% break up, he said 50% stay. Right? And I've said this analogy time and time before, but if you guys were about to go into a restaurant and I was like, yo, 50% of people that go into this restaurant leave with food poisoning, would that not alarm you? It should alarm you. It should create the burning platform to go somewhere goddamn else.
These marriage shows, and then people want to act like marriage is some kind of sanctimonious, holy thing. It's not. It's literally a reality show. And so when people are watching these things on a day-to-day basis and consuming marriage, literally, there are people on TV that have 90 days to get a visa and marry,
But it's
right?
because it's
Let me also say this. Do you guys know that there's some cultures in the East that don't have a word for divorce? Did you know that? There's not even a word for it. There's a word for marriage. There's not a word for divorce because it doesn't exist. You understand what I'm saying? If there was no word for divorce in the West, I think a lot more dudes would sign up for it. But there is a word here. And when you consume it and bastardize it the way that it has in Western cultures today, and they don't take it seriously, but meanwhile, on the back end of that, the men are getting dealt with seriously, then as men, we must be on our P's and our Q's. That was a good little exchange right there.
It's an outdated institution.
I'll stay.
Marriage is an outdated institution.
Yeah, do I...
I'm going to bring...
Yeah, I'm going to disagree.
It's outdated.
I don't think it's outdated.
Yeah, it's outdated.
So I would stay my in the seat. Why? I think that we have a traditional contract, a traditional framework within a modern time, right? And women have changed so much over the past several decades that the contract no longer lends itself in a way that benefits the modern man today, as much as when it did 100 years ago when the marriage rate was at like 80+%.
Would you agree that if 50% of people that get married are doing it, it's not that hard?
Us six, half of us would be able to get a divorce.
But that's the same way that if I had 6 women here, half of us would probably be able to make babies and half wouldn't. And some would say it's easy to procreate, some would say it's easy to conceive, some say it was easy to give birth, but it's not.
What is she talking about? Like, women like this oftentimes, like, I feel like I need to hold like modern woman seminars. I need to take all the modern women and we break them out in the session rooms and shit like that. And I just talk to them for a little while. And I can tell you exactly why you don't gel well with a man. Like I can break it down to the goddamn science of why you do not work well with a man. I find it so hilarious that so many women complain about men being able to communicate, but so many of these women don't communicate well. It is not a good way to communicate with people if you're bringing in illogical or irrational statements in order to try to prove your point. It is not good communication style. If I say 1 + 1 2 and you say the sky is blue, that had nothing to do with the goddamn conversation at all. That's not a good way to communicate with people, and especially not a good way to communicate with men.
I'm talking about twerking, because I twerk.
You do
does
twerk?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Does that mean that I'm not wife material?
To some men, yeah.
If you were my wife,
Yes.
and you went to a club and you were twerking,
So are we saying strippers are not
get
wife
out of
material?
here, man.
Wait, that's
They're
your
not.
value.
They're not.
That's
Yeah,
her job.
I agree.
But why can't it be my job? Why can't it be my job? I got a fat ass and I know how to make
Not
money
my wife.
for me. Why?
Someone else's wife.
Why?
It could be someone else's wife and be like,
This
"It's
is
not
what
mine."
you want to do. You want the benefits without the consequences. Like the consequences, men aren't attracted to women that shake their ass on a pole outside of a one-night stand. They're not attracted to that long-term typically because historically, men had to ensure paternity.
So I'm at Carnival and
Men had to ensure paternity, and don't also forget that there wasn't cures for STDs. I have not seen this, okay? Now, I am very interested how she's going to continue to fight how working girls are somehow seen as normal. See, but this is just the lies. This is the lies. This is the feminist empowerment, sexual liberation, allowing these women to be strumpets without understanding the consequences, right? Allowing these women to dress how they want to when they go out to the club and then also at the same time expect men not to look at them. This is the allowing women to go half naked to the gym, to co-ed gyms, and be mad when a guy looks your goddamn way with your ass tight hugging on the inside of your half, on your ass cheek, all up to the half side of your hip. And then I look at you and you try to catch me on camera and put up to your goddamn Tic Tac. This is what happens when there's no consequences, when your behavior is not reprimanded. This is what happens. You get boundaryless.
Marriages or
right?
something like that.
And women that come to the UK from different lower economic countries, they're stuck in that because they're waiting on their visa. And if they walk away from that marriage, it's only now the law has changed.
Well, look,
If you look at, when you look at one-sided abuse, when one side is hitting the other and it's not returned, women do it more than men do. They do it 70% of the time because most abusive situations are hitting each other.
I can't
So
tell
you see those marriages you're talking about, though, like
Yeah.
non-Western marriages, I get you. Because I think is in certain cultures, a man can just say, I divorce you 3 times and then she's divorced, and then a woman can't do the same thing. So I
Right.
get it. Do you get what I'm saying?
It's such an interesting point, and I wanted this one. She said that she works in there. Well, listen, the ones that go to you, yeah, you might see a lot more women, but there's a lot of guys out there that just don't report it because they're ashamed, they're embarrassed, right? Like because the stigmas are so large.
Oh,
And I might be training firearms. And yes, I'm up.
Why do women do this?
I'm
Like,
just
why do
saying
they
that
act like they can?
I'm telling you I can defend you.
Why do women act like they're men? Like you're not
Why
a
is that
man.
man?
Because you know men are physically stronger than women. You know that
Okay, and
I
generally.
probably can lift more than you anyway.
Oh my God, yo, put me in one of these panels, son. Yo, hit me up. Y'all got my goddamn email. Put me in one of these damn panels. I'm running amok. You understand me?
Look, here's the thing. I'm a 3-sport college athlete. I've played with guys. You're not keeping up with a dude.
Why?
So even the average dude is going to outlift you. And you saying like that's not true is disingenuous.
I'm not
It's
saying this, but I can
disingenuous.
defend myself. I now live by myself.
You
So
can't.
if someone comes through my door
you
today,
cannot defend-
who is going to defend
You-
me? Nobody but me.
But if
So she's taking the entire argument and now she's just saying, she's ignoring what she said earlier. Her being bigger, her defending the household. But now she is transitioning that and moving the pylon again to say, I live alone. So if someone comes in, who's defending it? Me. You can't have conversations with women like this in good faith. Guys, listen to me. You have to pick up on these different conversational tactics. Marrying her, you would lose your mind. You would lose your mind. I repeat, you would lose your mind. You would always be wrong. Everything that you say would always be undercut. Everything that you say, there would always be a but. You have to recognize this. Everything. She's an arguer. She has a need to be right that's outside of this world.